Sun and Moon. You clicked on this video knowing fully well who these guys are. But for that one guy who doesn't have ears like these two, they're characters from the FNaF franchise making their first appearance in Help Wanted. Well, at least Moon was.
Was that the—
Okay. Both of their first in-game appearance was Security Breach. They've gained quite a cult following ever since, even spawning in new merch that was released not too long ago as of the making of this video. How did this happen though? How did they become so popular within the fanbase? What kind of black magic was in that moon candy? I don't know, maybe crack? Before I dive right into Security Breach, I like to quickly go over Sun and Moon and the trailers leading up to the game. With Moon, there really isn't much to say. Look, he's there. And oh hey, look, he's there as well. Okay, with Sun, there's a little change as shown in the first trailer. He's a bit shinier than in the final game. Okay, look, I said little, not interesting. Other than that, I don't know, I guess in this shot there's no net type fence going around the daycare. Maybe they added those after testing a build where they use Hello Neighbor physics. Well, that's about it. To understand the popularity of these two silly jesters, we need to go over how they are in the game. So I decided to do what most FNaF fans don't do, and booted up the game. Early on, after getting the daycare pass, you make your way to the, well, daycare. Going down the slide and wait for it. Wait for it. Yo, exhibit Sun! This is Sun. If you don't count the mental scars from not knowing exactly what he was gonna do to you in that ball pit in your very first playthrough, then he's a completely harmless animatronic. Like the fanbase, I too am very fond of this energetic fella. I have to give props to the voice actor, Kellen Goff, who did a stellar job for both Sun and, as we'll soon see later, Moon. However, you don't play this game to make friends, so next all you gotta do is that, and off you go to make progress in the game, running away, getting the badge, and then
Lights on! I warned you! I warned you! Naughty boy. It's past your bedtime. You must be punished. Nighty-night.
Oh shit, he's hot. This is Moon. He comes out when the lights are out and hunts you down. This section of the game requires you to turn the lights back on by looking for 5 generators that are, for some reason, in the play area. I love this part of the game with its ambience, plus Moon coming inside the play area when you flip the 3rd generator. The way he is, the way he crawls. It's really scary. Oh wait, I forgot this is Security Breach.
Was that the—
And as a whole, this is a great part of the game. Wish I could say that for the rest of the time Moon has in the game. Yeah, after getting banned from the daycare, Moon now pops up every hour and you gotta go inside a recharge station to avoid him. It's really nothing special and can kinda become annoying with how he'll just randomly teleport, leading to some situations I've experienced myself where he'll just be right in front of the goal. Yeah, that's fun. Moon is a mixed bag, as I love the daycare section of him, but afterwards he becomes more annoying than something I actually fear near the end of the hour. Overall, both are great characters to me, and most certainly to the FNaF fanbase who enjoyed the game, as it quickly skyrocketed to fame with fan channels, animations, and even new designs based off them, all made by very talented people. Kinda. Now, back to the question of the video. What's inside the candy? How and why did these two become popular? Well, I like to view it as them being completely different to not only the crew of this game, but the franchise as a whole. We've had our shares of Freddys, Chicas, and Foxys. Animals as a whole is something we're used to. So to get these completely new characters with these designs, that was a completely breath of fresh air. The concept, while simple, being that Sun and Moon can change whether the lights are on or off, can and has created fun fan stories and simple little memes. And while yes, they had very little impact in the game they were in, that doesn't really matter. We're the FNaF community. We take the smallest things and make it so much bigger. Besides that, heck, these characters that are in these games, some of them had completely different names and we just took them and we're like, nope, here's a better name. And that just stuck. It most certainly isn't the last we've seen of Sun or Moon. As of writing and recording, Ruin is just 2 days away, and I for one can't wait to see what horrors await, not only within the story, but what role Sun and Moon will play. That or they just get 5 seconds again. So, how did Sun and Moon take over the fandom? Simple. They're a breath of fresh air in terms of character design. Oh yeah, and the endless point. Eclipse and Eclipse. I got this anonymous letter from a guy telling me to talk about the other version of Sun and Moon, making sure to bring them all to this exact location for a video, so I thought, why not? You clicked on this video knowing fully well who these guys are, but for those who don't, they're one of the most beloved characters within the FNaF fandom, or at least more on the Security Breach side, which was a game released in 2021. It was the beginning of a new era for the series, and with it brought new characters like Sun and Moon. Now, I've already made a video on these guys, so there's no reason to talk about them. Plus, I've made a bunch of other FNaF related videos, so if you're a fan of the series, consider subscribing. Anyways, there are 2 versions, with one being the fan design and the other being canon within the games. First, let's talk about the fan design and how it came to be. Now, a lot of you might be yelling at your screen saying, "But wait, TheBlueGuy." Wait, I just realized, TheBlueGuy, like, it's kind of a weird name to pronounce.
But wait, TheBlueGuy, Eclipse isn't really a fan character. He showed up at Security Breach. Look, he's right there. Look, he's right there.
And yes, you're right to an extent. You see, within the game, after unlocking the secret room, you're allowed to enter Sun and Moon's room, where you can go on one of the arcade machines. Basically, I imagine there was 2 guys at Steel Wool saying, "Hey, remember that one mobile bird game that pissed everyone off? You think we could do that and make the main character someone people already hate?" And the other dude was all like, check this out. Thus creating Balloon World. Or at least I think that's how it went. I tend to stay away from the game's lore within my videos, so I'm choosing not to go further than that, since a life is just so peaceful when you don't call Gregory a robot. Oh shit, there I go upsetting the side of the fandom that believes that. Within Balloon World, there are purple glitches you can touch, and doing that makes this little fellow appear. Though not stated, it's a pretty good guess to assume this character's name is Eclipse. I mean, it sure does sound nicer than something like, I don't know, Bob. This brings me back to Eclipse not technically being a fan character, though all we got within Balloon World was just a head, and people have gone out of their way to make a full design, so... When it comes to the first full body of him, I actually found myself on the last website I thought I'd ever have to go on when researching this topic. It wasn't that crazy. It was on the Dawko subreddit with an art posted by Dr. Razzle Dazzle on December 20th, only 4 days after Security Breach had launched. The post itself didn't get that much traction, but in my opinion, is the superior version compared to what we'll soon see later. Not that it's bad, it's just that this one stays faithful to the sprite, so in a sense, is the superior version to me in that aspect. What about this other design though? Well, it would be posted 3 days later on DeviantArt and would pop off with many drawings plus others using it as inspiration to create their own interpretation. December 23rd, user Elite Robo would post his render of his take on what a full body design would look like. Honestly, his version isn't bad. Not bad at all. It's not really a problem when I say it takes it in a different direction because I find this color palette really pleasing. But like I said, when comparing the drawing to this version, I find that the drawing succeeds in terms of staying loyal to the original design. There doesn't need to be a winner though, both are great in their own way. However, the fandom clearly had more of an eye on Elite Robo's version, as that is the one that had plenty of fan art, stories, and bootleg merch of the guy. This would become the headcanon version of Eclipse for a good while until news about the Ruin DLC for Security Breach had started coming out, leading some people to wonder what Sun and Moon were going to play in the story. We would get a tease on May 29th, 2023 with the Ruin trailer that showed a broken Sun and Moon. It wasn't really much at the time, but people were already calling out and saying this was Eclipse. We'd all eventually find out on July 25th with the release of the long-awaited DLC. Now if you want my full review on the game, I suggest watching this video right here. But as if Eclipse was in the game or not, we got our answer in the Daycare section. Once entering and getting jump scared by Moon, we're told from Sun that we need help reboot him to be whole. After turning on some spotlights and having texture freak out, we're able to get this scene.
Happy birthday! Warning, warning! child in danger. Safety mode active. Little girl, you can't be in here. It's dangerous. I need to clean up before we can open in the morning. Oh, this place will be flooded with kids. Come back soon and have a fazerific day.
I love you. I will protect you. Hey, wait, I swear I've done this bit before. This is Eclipse, the real Eclipse. Heck, it's so legit, it continues the tradition of having these characters within the games only show up for a couple of seconds, yet the fanbase still eats it up. I can see why though. Look at him, he's just a little fella, he isn't hurting anybody. Yet. The voice actor Kellen Goff once again did such an amazing job. This also brings me to the direction they decided to take him, as seen in this clip I played earlier. He's more soft and gentle than the fandom had been designing. Eclipse within the fanbase up to this point had been portrayed in art and especially stories as evil, mostly due to the arcade game Balloon World having him only appear when touching a virus. So this official take on him is a very welcoming and surprising turn of events. While I was on the fence about a version of him showing up at all in Ruin, I thought for sure if he did, he'd pose as a threat, way worse than Moon. Like I said though, he isn't, and it's just a little fella who I'll protect. I wish there was more I could say, but really the footage I'm using over and over again is all he appears in. I can talk about how much I already want to buy merchandise based off him. At the moment, there isn't anything official, though there are plans by Funko to release some form of Ruin merch in 2024. If you can't really wait like I did though, you'd be tempted by this Hot Topic exclusive plush. While not Eclipse, does give off the vibe in a way. It's the closest thing we have now and is actually pretty good. I recommend getting this guy if you're a fan of the character, and really can't wait like me. In a way, it feels like Funko grabbed the two plush and just made them into one. Bing bang boom, this is exactly how they were made in the factory. I know this is true. My dad works there so he can get you banned. Now, when it comes to both Eclipse, I had to know which one people liked more, the fan version or the canon one. I held a poll on my community post, and with 441 votes, we can see the canon version's at 84%, with the fan version being at 16%. I didn't expect this, to be honest, as the fan version had been around for quite some time at this point, and was pretty well known within the security breach side of the fandom. Feel free though to comment down below saying which version you like more. However, both are very much liked at the end of the day. Why exactly though? For the fan version, oh, I'm sure it's cause he has a wonderful, character design, yeah, or how cool he is in fan fiction, or maybe, okay, fine, it's because people really, and I mean really, want to sleep with him. I mean, now on the other hand, there's the canon version, which I see people enjoying simply due to the fact that he's another variant of Sun and Moon, so he was bound to be loved by a lot of people, with some even viewing him as a comfort character. This is why these two are so popular, and will probably remain that way. At most, maybe the fan version will die down a little since a lot of people have been taking a liking to the ruined version, but who knows? There's nothing wrong with multiple great things existing at the same time. I didn't mention before, but the community post I made asking people to choose which they like more, I find myself getting a couple comments where people ask, why not both? So yeah, why not both? There's nothing wrong with it. Plus, I'm sure the fan Eclipse will find something big as a way to keep going, especially with all the drawings made of him. Hey, wait, hang on. This isn't the right one. Wait, there's some of the canon version? There's too many versions of you. Sun, Moon, Eclipse? Why don't you just come out, Lunar? We all know you're here. Why though? Wait, maybe you're all a gift for me to get views. Yeah, views and ad revenue.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name, but I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
Monty, please!
Are Sun and Moon overrated? Well, oh, I'm doomed no matter what I say. Sun and Moon are the fictional characters from the Five Nights at Freddy series, which originally was developed by Scott Cawthon starting all the way back in 2014. It was only him for the longest time until 2019, where we got the announcement that Scott was working with an indie studio known as Steel Wool Studios to create a bigger FNaF game. This would go on to be Help Wanted. It was a massive hit, justifying more FNaF games, leading to the next one, Security Breach. Security Breach was a big step for the franchise, introducing a new location, new gameplay, and new characters. Each FNaF game had its cast of animatronics, and this game was no different. But as more footage came out, people started noticing these two jesters. They looked completely different from the norm. Many fans, like myself, were wondering how they would be in the game, if they would be any good or forgettable since this game had so much other things going on. The open world, the new line of animatronics, and a villain that had been hyped up for quite some time. This was shaping up to be the greatest FNaF game ever. December 16th, 2021. My opinions of this game will have to wait another day, but for the meantime, it's fair to say the launch could have been way better. The many people like myself playing on day one did have a good experience early on, especially in the introduction of the superstar Daycare, where everyone who didn't even know it at the time were about to meet the duo that would steal the hearts of many. I got videos about them already on the channel, and an Eclipse one that you should check out. Actually, just the Eclipse one. I've technically already made a video about these two, but here's the thing. It was my first video and... Sun and Moon. You clicked on this video knowing fully well who these guys are. But if I stop it, I already hate it. Anyways, while I agree with what I said, I feel like I can make that video again, but better, while also bringing something new to the table. You see, in the video I explained why they got so popular, but now I feel it's fair to talk about if they even should be that popular. I also want to talk about another factor into why I believe they're so successful that I failed to mention in my first video. To understand this, we need to talk about Foxy. Yes, really. I need you guys to just really stick with me on this one. I know you guys want me to talk about the silly jesters, but to have full context, we must go back to 2014. The good old days where you sit in the office being hunted by 5 animatronics, all of which in the fandom were loved, but none as much as Foxy. He is what I argued was the most popular FNaF character for the longest time. It really came down to his brilliant design with him being torn and broken, which went perfectly with that pirate theme. It really made him feel like he was the one who'd been through it all and genuinely was just cool. As much as the fandom loved him, it didn't really show within the game's universe. When looking around this pizzeria, you'll quickly see a lack of Foxy representation. The hallways showing the characters doesn't include him, and in the iconic Celebrate poster has zero mention of him. Now, one could bring up how he is out of order. That's fair, however, you'd think there'd at least be one poster of him when he was fixed. I was gonna mention how he at least had drawings of him done by kids, but no. I looked through the renders and apparently there are none of him, at least in the first game. Foxy felt really separated from the crew, and enough to justify fanfictions making up stories of why he's casted out in the first place, or even how being alone makes him sad. Heck, there was a whole song about that idea, made by a dickhead. What does this have to do with Sun and Moon though? Well, these characters are popular within their respective eras of the series, so I feel it's fair to find some sort of bridge that connects them of why exactly they were the ones to pop off. This brings me to my point of how Sun and Moon are separated like Foxy into their own area, enough to where they can stand on their own. Most people would think I'm looking too deep into it, and it's really just because they're two silly jesters. However, if that really was the case, then how come someone like Circus Baby doesn't have their fame? Don't get me wrong, she definitely has her fans, but not nearly on Sun and Moon's level. The things around the character matter just as much as the character themselves, and Baby has a story going on throughout Sister Location and Pizza Simulator, leaving not much room for fan interpretation. Sun and Moon, however, don't have a story going on like Baby, so if they don't have a story, what do they have that people enjoy? Comfortability. But where does this comfortability come from? Well, Foxy and the Daycare Attendants both have that underdog theme if you think about it. Both are separated from the main crew and kind of have their own thing going on, and let's be real, people love to root for the underdogs. So, it causes a connection to happen, leading to comfortability. It's also the characters themselves within the personality that make people enjoy them so much. Sun is pretty easy to explain with his upbeat, positive attitude, creating a very charming character in a game where everyone is out to get ya. A sweet, innocent character like Sun was definitely gonna win some people over. Moon, on the other hand, yeah, I can't lie, it's harder to explain why someone who wants to hurt you is considered a comfort character. If I had to make a good guess, it's that if you aren't Gregory and follow the rules in the daycare, Moon can actually be pretty nice. I mean, in Security Breach, he does seem like he's only doing his job, being to get those who are up past their bedtimes. Now, he has an extreme method of doing that, but hey, still just doing his job. I don't really think the main villain, Vanny, had anything to do with Moon coming after Gregory like it's presumed she did with the other animatronics, as there's a note you can find that explains a bad customer experience one had with Moon, so it leads me to think that as long as you obey the rules, Moon isn't that bad. Another reason for the comfort is just the daycare in general. I mean, look at this place. Screw the kids, I want to spend the day here. I'll Scrooge McDuck into that ball pit, go down every slide, get lost in the maze for hours on end. I'm pretty sure that's the mentality of a lot of people as well. There's no characters quite like Sun and Moon in the games, or even the franchise itself. It's their uniqueness and charm that make it such a comfort for many, with some going out of their way to make their own stories about them, which is another great factor into the success of these guys. There are plenty of fan interpretations going around the web, but if there was one I'd say kept the lasting powers of these characters alive, I'd say is a little known channel called the Sun and Moon Show. Alright, I'll try to keep this short since I do have a whole video on them. So, the Sun and Moon Show is a kid series on YouTube using characters from Security Breach to create their own lore and characters while doing normal stuff like let's plays and reactions. It's owned by Blackshore, which is a YouTube network with multiple channels under its belt. FNaF related channels are only some of the things Blackshore does, but alone there's like 9 of these guys. Some of these characters lineup really make no sense, like Monty and Foxy. Who would ever want to watch them together? The duo are so full of themselves they have to watch some review of their show to feel any sort of validation. Hey, wait a second. Out of all of these, the Sun and Moon Show is the most popular, even though it wasn't the first. The original was Freddy and Funtime Freddy Show that premiered a whole year prior, yet the Sun and Moon Show grew to be the most successful, sitting at over 500,000 subscribers. They definitely marked their place in the FNaF fandom, as if you talk about the actual characters of Sun and Moon like I did here on a community post, you'll get people talking about the show that has no official connection in the game series. Notice how this whole video I've been talking about everything around these characters, yet not once have I mentioned how they are in the game? It leads me to answer the question of the video. Are Sun and Moon overrated? Honestly, yeah. They play a very small role in Security Breach, but maybe, just maybe, less could be more. Let's go over it. In Security Breach, once you enter the daycare, the mission is to get the security pass and meet up with Freddy afterwards. However, you must go down the slide and... wait for it. Wait for it. Who the fuck are you?
Check it out, Michael. I'm off the perk.
This is where we meet Sun. He picks us up from the ball pit and sets us down on the floor to discuss what an amazing sleepover we'll have. I'm not too much of a fan of the way he was touching me, so I have to remember what Sonic said.
First, you say no.
No.
Then, you get out of there.
Damn it. Yeah, attempting to leave will result in Sun following you and taking you right back. So, to counter this, we push over the barrels nearby to create a distraction. It gives us enough time to go to the desk and check for a security badge. Sun attempts to warn us about being back there, but fails to take into account of when I asked. So once grabbing the badge, the lights go out and we meet Moon. He is meant to punish all who break the rules, and the only way to stop him is to flip 5 generators located around the daycare, where once flipping the last one causes the lights to come back on. We're able to leave, however Sun decides to come in and kick us out for breaking the rules, alerting the animatronics of our presence. Freddy is thankfully here, and we're able to hide inside him. That's all Sun does in the game, and as for Moon, he comes around every hour to hunt the player down, with the only way to stop him being to go into a recharge station. That is all their time in Security Breach. That honestly isn't a lot, and leads me to consider them overrated with how little they contribute to the overall game. Sun and Moon would return in the sequel DLC released 2 years later called Ruin. At this point, the love for Sun and Moon got so big you could consider this a sub-fan base within the FNaF community. So many were wondering if now, since the audience for these characters have grown, if they play a bigger role, with some assuming Sun would help you throughout like how Freddy did in Security Breach. July 25th, 2023. Ruin finally released, and Sun and Moon basically got the same amount of screen time. Now, this is a shorter experience, so maybe they were able to impact more. The DLC follows Cassie trying to find her friend Gregory, who seems to be trapped under the Pizzaplex. The game is divided in 9 chapters, and chapter 2 has Cassie going to the Superstar Daycare. This is where Moon comes in and gives a quick scare before Sun takes over the body and asks for our help. What we need to do is help reboot and make him whole, since Moon is proven to be a control freak. Seeing how Moon wants to hurt us and Sun doesn't, we reasonably help him out by turning on the spotlights that keep Moon at bay until we turn on the last one, where now we need to reboot him and...
Happy birthday!
I'm not doing the joke. I've done it twice already. If you know, you know. This introduces Eclipse, who quickly became just as popular as Sun and Moon simply for how adorable most found him. I mean, it's like looking at a puppy. You're not gonna shoot a puppy, are you?
Yeah, in the face. Why?
I got a whole video on Eclipse that I don't hate, unlike another video, so I recommend checking that out afterwards if you're interested. Other than that, that's pretty much it in terms of screen time for both Sun and Moon. In terms of the future, Moon is confirmed to be in the next FNaF game. However, even with all this, it's fair to call them overrated with how little they play in the game series. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy these characters at the end of the day. I can't say Sun or Moon are in my top 3, 5, or even 10 favorite FNaF characters, though for others, it's completely fine to either love them or hate them. The hype around them at least makes sense with how different they are compared to the rest of the animatronics we've seen throughout the series. Then there's also their great design plus the world they live in, and I can't stress enough the amazing performance done by Kellen Goff.
Oh, my little blueberry. You didn't make this video calling them overrated just to get this clip of you simping for them off your back, did you?
No, I can't take it anymore. I gotta smash it, I must smash it, I want them to on top of me, I want them on top of me, I want them to make me whimper and cry under them, I must.
Whoa!
What? Hi.
Oh my god.